Shalom, our dear friends, and welcome to Parasha Korach. Once upon a time, a man is approached by a salesperson, and salesperson is selling combs. He says, "Sir, would you like to buy a comb?" He said, "No." He said, "I have a really good comb, very low prices for today. Will you buy one?" He says, "No." The salesman looks at the man's hair. He said, "Your hair is very messed up. Why don't you buy a comb to comb your hair?" He says, "Yeah, because I don't want to wake up at night." He said, "What? What does combing your hair has to do with waking up at night?" And he says, "Everything." He said, "Could you please explain to me?" He said, "Yeah, if I comb my hair, then look, my shirt it doesn't look good. So then if my hair looks good, then what do I do with my shirt? I have to go buy a new shirt." I just said, "What's wrong with that?" I says, "Well, if I buy a new shirt, look at my suit. If my suit is not good, then I'm going to buy a new suit." I said, "What's wrong with that?" I said, "Look at my shoes. My shoes are torn. If I have a new suit, I need to have a new shoe." He said, "What's wrong with that?" He says, "Well, if I do that, then I will look good." He says, "And so what's wrong with that?" "Then I probably have a girl who wants to date me." He says, "So what's wrong with that?" "Then I'm going to like her. So what's wrong with that?" He says, "Well, if I like her, I'm probably going to ask her to marry me." He says, "So what's wrong with that?" He says, "So we're going to have kids." He said, "What's wrong with that?" He said, "You see, I'm going to have to wake up at the middle of the night to take care of the crying baby. That's why I don't want to have a comb to comb my hair." The point is really valid in a way, because my father used to tell me, "Son, you put a small little seed under a house, and it doesn't matter, you won't even able to see that, but if it gets watered and grows, eventually it will grow bigger and bigger and will lift up the house as the tree grows bigger, and the house will be crooked and eventually will fall down." So the little things that we do can lead to something very big. We've been talking about number of the weeks as how the Jews disappreciated the food that they were eating, and how then after that Miriam and Aaron did not appreciate Moshe, and then how after that series of things happen, like the Jews wanting not to trust in Moshe and now wants to go spy the land, and then how they came up and said negative things about the land, and how the people started to cry and they got very depressed, and how they decided, and Hashem said, "Don't go, you can, this generation is not worthy of going to settle in this land." And then from that, then we come to this big parasha that there is uprising against Moshe. So you see how little thing blown up and becomes very big, in a way that there is uprising, and 250 of great Jewish leaders pass away. The earth opens up and they go in there. So one thing we talked about, the cause of this was disappreciation. And when you disappreciate something, a lot of things happen. Actually, Molavi, along the same line, has a very good story about a man who was in love with a woman, and every day after the work, he would get on his boat and go a long way to go see his lover, and he would love and appreciate his lover every time that he would see her, and they spend the night together, and then at the middle of the night he would come back to get some rest and go to work. One night that he went to see his lover, he started to say, "Wow, you don't look good. Your face is not good. What are these pimples on your face? You're not really as pretty as I always thought. And that night, the lovers asked his love, please don't go back tonight. Stay over tonight. And he says, no, 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 I'm going to go back. And he goes back, and sure enough, there's a wave, and he dies. Molavi also wants to make the same point that when people are excited and they really have a passion to do something from within, they go long distance, they do great, great things. But once the passion is gone, then things break down and things will not be going in a good way. There's also saying that Moshe brought the 10 Commandments. He was so excited. That's why old man could carry two huge, heavy piece of a stone. But when he came in and he saw people worshiping the golden calf, he was not inspired anymore. And this, one saying is that he couldn't carry. The stones were too big for him, too heavy, and they fell down and broke. So one of the really great lessons we learn from all this is that be passionate, be clear on what we do, and then we're passionate and we'll do a great job in everything that we do. But then there's another side of a story. Another side is that what was about Korach, such a great man that he was in some level as great as Moshe. He was extremely smart man. He was actually the treasurer of Pharaoh. And how is it that a man like that falls so low? And the answer is one word, his wife. The wife. He had a wife that the wife always said, you are first cousin of Moshe. Why is it that Moshe should be the leader of Bnei Israel and not you? And he would say, you know what, God chose him and this and that. And the wife said, well, okay, let's say God chose him, but why were you not the second man like Aharon? And always nagged on him. And he had everything. He was the richest man. The Midrash says there was 147 donkeys that they were just carrying the key to the treasure that he had. He was a very wealthy man. And one thing that he didn't have, that he was not Moshe, was enough for him to become jealous. And the jealousy in him became so deep that he was about to be destroyed. And actually, we will see that he will be destroyed, the man who had everything. And then when people are jealous, that one thing that they don't have, that becomes their downfall. One of the worst characteristic of a human being is to be jealous. And so on the other hand, he gets 250 other people to come and be part of his group and uprise against Moshe. Among them is, what's his name? Ronen ben Palet. And Ben Palet is one of the people that Korach has been able to arouse and have him to be against Moshe. And then the morning that they all going to rise up against Moshe, Korach goes to get Ben Palet. And then his wife, the wife of Ben Palet, knew what her husband is going to do. And that night, she made sure that Mr. Ben Palet had so much wine to drink and had a lot of good time till morning, and in the morning fell asleep. And then when Korach comes to wake him up, she uncovers her hair, sit at the door, at the gate of their dwelling place, and then stops Korach from coming in to get her husband. So when Korach and the other people go and rebel against Moshe, and the earth open up and everyone goes down. You know what? Everyone dies except Ben Palat. It talks about the wisdom of the woman. Wisdom of the woman is so great. I say all the time that this is a great power women have, and unfortunately many of them don't know how to use it. And understanding the man and understanding what the man wants. And men are very, very simple. And understanding them is very simple. The women who understand this and understand men, they have enormous power to uplift their man, uplift their own life, and uplift their family altogether. And this is really the testament to the power of the woman. And finally, this week, Parasha ends by, even after Korach and 250 other people die, in a way that earth open up and they die in it, then the Bnei Israel rise against Moshe, saying, Moshe, you killed Korach and 250 other people. Moshe really lifted up his hand to God. He said, God, I give up. What do I do? What did I do to have this job? What do I do now? And God says, you see, there is one thing, very amazing lesson that comes out of this, and that is nothing gets resolved by fighting, by in-house fighting inside the family. Things will not work out. So the solution is that all the people who want to be the leader bring their staff and let's put their staff in the tent of the meeting, and tomorrow morning whichever staff become blossoming and gets and have blossomed, then that person will be the leader. And only staff by tomorrow morning that not only blossom, also gives fruit, is a staff of Aharon. Hashem putting his name as Aharon, that he wants to be the second man after Moshe, and that's peacefully how they decide. So there's so much to be said in this week Parasha, but two great points is that stop the negativity and evil at their doorstep. Stop it and let it go away, so that it does not become something very big. And the other great lesson is that every time you have a fight, let it be solved in a peaceful way, that there is consensus inside the family, and that's how everything blossoms and gives fruit. But the most important lesson is the power of a woman, how much women have power to build our next generation. Shabbat Shalom.